They make a brother feel welcome in his own house, which is the way God wants it. All right, welcome to another edition of the Dr. Ricky Rice Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ricky Rice, and today we're getting to an area I'm not even going to front is not my area. I'm what is defined as, from this guest from 3 years ago, an amazing single. That's after my first interview with him 4 years ago, that's what I discovered about myself. But we'll find out what that means. Without further ado, my next guest, Dr. Byron Jamal.
How you doing? Good to see you. All right. Good to be here with you, brother.
Look at this book just magically showing up. I didn't
Oh, Lord. All right.
Set team, I didn't know that we were putting books up.
See my face everywhere.
Don't knock it down now. It's already there. You've already seen it.
My face is here. We can
This
focus
is
on that.
very true. All right, so picture it. COVID. No,
Yes.
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Picture it. Pre-COVID, 2019, 2020.
take me there.
My annoying friends and family were like, you should do an episode about relationships. Well, I'm not doing it because I'm single and have been single for a hot minute. So clearly I'm not the person to give advice about relationships.
Oh, my.
Scrounging around and find the love guru and was like, reached out to him, you came to the show, you slayed it. I had so many questions in my inbox about relationships and things that you said. I actually had to reflect on my life about dating and am I really ready for it? I loved you, but I hated you in the same time because I thought I was fine. But again, I'm an amazing single. But I digress. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are.
Well, again, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, actually. And my journey is kind of complex, but I was an adopted child that battled with suicidal depression, suicidal tendencies, and depression. I became a pastor. I also left the pastorate in order to pursue a life that I wanted to live on my own terms without all of the critique and criticism that the pastoral role, for those who are pastors know, that it garners. And what I found outside of the church was so much love and joy, and I was able to speak to people where they were in every space that was needed that sometimes the church couldn't touch. And now I'm working as a therapist and counselor, and I'm helping people find love within themselves and with others.
One of your book titles is something about hope.
Yes.
Expound.
How to Heal a Hoe. That is the most recent book that I have. Now, a hoe, I got to stop right there, but a hoe, just to define that, it's actually a book that helps people who have sexualized trauma. For those who are wrestling with things that happen to them sexually, sometimes you get touched and you feel dirty for the rest of your life. And there are others who, they have thoughts that make them feel dirty. And there are those who have used their bodies in ways, whether it is an abortion or whether it's you are a sex worker or you've done any of that, or you just had multiple husbands and you feel like your body has been maneuvered in multiple ways. Can I say it that way? Maneuvered in multiple ways. So you can have trauma sexually that other people can put on you or you can put on yourself. And so as a whole, you realize that you're a human open to experiences. And as a human open to experiences, the only way to truly live this life with real self-love is to live openly and experience it willingly. And sometimes things aren't going to go the way you want, but they're always going to go the way that they should. Now, it doesn't feel good when they go that way, but you learn more about yourself, you develop more strength inside yourself, and you walk more courageously as you go along.
I'm still laughing at the whole part, but I digress. I'm still laughing at the whole part, but I digress.
Every hoe can be healed.
That's a new mantra.
How about that? Every hoe can be healed. Yes.
All right, so let's talk about dating pre-COVID.
Yes.
Because you were on the show about 4 years ago, and like I said, for me, I'm still holding on to Amazing Single, which you definitely have to explain first
Yes.
for those of us who are single. But let's talk pre-COVID dating.
Yeah.
What was that like? What did that look like? What were people looking for?
People were looking for connection. They were looking for someone who they could spend time with. What happened in COVID was they got bunkered down, and they found themselves hunkered down online. And so it became more about the idolization of people and filters and looking your best even though you were stuck in your home. But before COVID, it was like interacting, engaging, one-on-one, connecting in groups. After COVID, it became hard for people to reconnect, honestly. Like community centers are a little more empty. Churches, the a lot of the population within churches went down. People got used to being in online church. And so they had bedside Baptists, and they dialed in to service, right? So connecting people became more difficult. And if just the basic connection of neighbor to neighbor became text message as opposed to walking next door, then certainly in dating it became difficult as well.
All right, hold that thought. That was just the preliminaries. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have more of my guest, Byron Jamal, on the Dr. Ricky Rice Show with your host, Dr. Ricky Rice. All right, we are back on this episode of the Dr. Ricky Rice Show with your host, Dr. Ricky Rice, and my guest, love guru to the stars, Byron Jamal. All right, so we were getting into what does love, finding love look like now. You still got to talk about amazing singles.
Yes.
I'm not the only one in here.
All right, you want me
So
to
what
do
does that
that
mean?
now?
What does that mean?
So I talk about this with a lot of people that I coach. You can be so good at being single that you are difficult to date. You can be so independent-minded, so single-minded, you can do bad all by yourself. You don't need nobody else. Did that rhyme? It sounded like it rhymed.
Okay, yeah. Now you're putting the knife in this.
That the difficulty of dating you makes it impossible for someone to connect. So the willingness to be open is what allows something to be filled. And if you are shut off saying, I am a solid being and I don't need anybody to connect with me, then how does someone latch on, right? So you cannot have, think about this. If you are think about a door with a keyhole that's got putty over it. How does a key enter that? A lot of people are saying they want someone to enter into their life, but the thing trying to enter can't even access because you consider yourself closed off because your singleness is more important than connection.
Okay, so let's be very clear. This is not verbal. This is actually,
Actions.
you were saying this is like social media.
How you move.
Which I'm guilty of. And part of this is my
Yes.
boss's fault because we
Yes.
take trips, we go tubing, we do all this kind of stuff. So I look great on social media like I'm happy, but when I go home and turn the key, like Whitney said, there's nobody there but
There's
me.
nobody there.
Nobody there but me.
A chair's still a chair,
Yeah,
but
it's-
nobody's sitting there.
My home is not a house. It's not a home.
Yes, it's difficult. It's difficult because here's the difficulty. Number one, you want to be complete within yourself, and you want to feel good about yourself, and you want to love on yourself enough to where you can live your single life happy. But there becomes a thing, and I always say there's phases to this thing. So singleness is when you are intently focused on being yourself, on being alone, not focused on dating at all. You are completely closed off to it, and you are aware that you're working on self. But the moment you say you want to start dating, there's a dating phase. Even if you aren't dating anyone, you are open to being in the dating phase. So that means your mind shifts. You open yourself again. You allow your people to enter your space. You become more vulnerable. You focus more on other people. You let down some of your guards. That is a mental shift than single phase. Single phase says, I am selfish, not in a bad way, but I'm selfish in focusing on me, constructing me, building me, developing me, in fortifying who I am to me. But in dating phase, you say, I'm good enough to date, and I will open myself up now to the dating world.
Okay, so piggybacking on that, and I'm going off what I remember because now that you're back, I get to ask you these questions
Please.
again because it's a new day.
Yes, yes.
Making space. I remember that hit me last time that you said that we have to make space
Yeah,
for love. Explain
yes.
that.
So there's a certain amount of space that we all have. And there's an occupancy that you can fill up. And the more that you have other things in, that's the less amount of space you have for someone else to occupy. Does that make sense? So if I have my family, and we'll go this route. I got occupancy of 5, okay? God is everywhere, so we're not going to count God, okay? Because that's in everything we should be doing. That touches all of it. That's the palm. But the fingers, if you're in school and you got to run your businesses and you got your friends and your family, and you got all the other interests that you have, and you got taking care of you got to work out, or you got to do your hair, or you got to do your makeup. It takes you 5 hours to do that. And I tell people, like, if you're making a schedule throughout the day, how much time would someone have in the course of that to get in and get to know you? How much space would they have? So I have a client, for instance, who's a bodybuilder. His regimen is to work out at least 3 hours a day, but he also has a 9 to 5. Now, if you are working out every day for 3 hours and you have a 9 to 5 and you still got to sleep, eat, and go to the bathroom, how much time does someone have to get to know you in that space? Right? How open are you really? Are you able to be really intimate with them in the little bit of time in text messaging or trying to catch a quick call to get to know them? How much time do you have? Normally not much, right? And so the reason why relationships can be weak is because we don't give them enough time to blossom.
Well, you lost me with the working out 3 hours a day. You lost me with that. The only familiarity I have with the gym was when I passed
What is
out
it
my
for you
point.
that you're doing?
This.
See? And that's not a bad thing, right?
It's not. Teaching, which
Yes.
is my new love.
Yes.
So that's 5 days a week, and that's 8 hours a day
Where does someone fit in that?
after the 5 o'clock.
After 5. After 5. How much time after 5?
Now we asking a lot of questions.
I turned into a coaching session, sorry.
Exactly. And I can get it for free, I'm going to. So let's see. After school, we're done by 4:10. And then you got to get home.
Yes.
That's like 5. Oh, but I got to get a nap because I'm a teacher. I have no
Okay.
energy, so I'm up at 7. I'm watching TV till about 11. I'm not really a night owl, so I'm not really going on after 7. We should carry on. I'm good. We should carry on. I'm good.
But you see how easy it is when you have your life set and you haven't made intentional decisions to open up space for someone to occupy. It's difficult for them to do it. And the more difficult it is, the less likely someone's willing to put in that effort. And that's why we remain single.
I don't want to talk anymore, so I'm going to take a break because I don't want to talk anymore. So I'm going to take a break. So we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more and probably have some questions, which I'm sure they have because I have. But I'm the host, so I get to go first.
I'm here for it.
So we're going to take our break, and we'll come back on the Dr. Ricky Rice Show with your host, Dr. Ricky Rice. If you see this look on my face, it happened last segment. I'm your host, Dr. Ricky Rice, and my guest today, love guru Byron Jamal, has once again made me rethink my life. But I'm gonna be okay. So we're gonna move on. I'm internalizing a lot of stuff right now, but we're gonna move on. Okay, after COVID,
Yes.
what are the biggest things you're finding with your clients after COVID?
After COVID is a loss of identity. So we find identity with people. And I know in your secret closet you can find the voice of God and all of that, but there's a reason why it says it's not good for man to be alone. Connections and relationships are the iron sharpening the iron. And what that means is they're defining. So you learn more about yourself as you rub up against other people. And you learn more about your nature, what you like, what you don't like, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. Maybe something changed. Maybe you actually are now open to something you thought you were closed off to. Or maybe you're closed off to something that you were once open to. Maybe something has shifted within you, but you don't know if you're sitting at home by yourself. When you find out most when you rub up against somebody, you say, ooh, that didn't feel so great. It used to, but it doesn't anymore. But so connections and relationships matter. So when people weren't able to really rub up against each other as they were before COVID, what happened was we lost a lot of ourselves. We lost how to figure out who we were over that year and a half, 2 years. And so in that course of time, we were like, okay, how do I love myself if I don't really fully know who I am? Right? So now I got to figure out how to love myself again in a deeper way because the expression of me has shifted, but I don't know how much or how little or how to express it.
All right, so let's segue to, Well, since it's already here, it just magically showed up.
Magically.
It's magically showed up. Shouts out to production. It showed up. Good job. The 7 steps to ultimate self-love.
Yes.
Talk about it.
So in this book, what I attempted to do was, I remember reading Genesis, just the first chapter, and I remember seeing that in the beginning, the earth was void, right? It was formless, it was shapeless. Much like when we come into the earth, we don't know about ourselves. We're trying to figure it out. It's dark, right? We're learning ourselves. It's void. But in that darkness, the Spirit of God is still hovering. Without getting into the deepness of the darkness, God is still hovering in the darkness. And so there's a truth about that. It never says God is frustrated by the dark, the formlessness, the void. It never says God is frustrated by that. It just says it is. So first step is acceptance. It's accepting that something is what it is. It's dark. It's void. You're single. You're not so happy right now. Things aren't the way you want them. It's just accepting it. It's embracing what it is. We talk about grief. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. We had another one of your interviews that I watched with Dr. Powers, and she was expressing her grief. It just is what it is. But in the midst of that darkness, the Spirit of God is still present, right? So acceptance. 2. Second thing we learn is that God, in the midst of accepting what it was and not shying away from it or complaining or murmuring or doing any of that gossipy stuff to coworkers and neighbors about how woe is me and how bad it is, God just simply said, let there be. There was an affirmation. There was a strong declaration of a thing to say, out of this darkness, I want there to be light. So what is the thing that you want? Now, you cannot know, this is why sometimes we need darkness, because now we know what light is. You sometimes don't know what you need until you get in a situation with something you don't want. And so when something you don't want comes, now you better understand, I need that light. So let there be light in this situation. And when you speak that, guess what happens? The affirmation is there. So there's the affirmation. But then, it's a funny thing, the third thing that happens is God saw the light and said it was what? Good. Not only that did he say it was good, so he affirmed it. God also said, in the midst of all of that I'm going to affirm it and sustain it. So I can't just speak an affirmation. I want this thing in my life. But once I speak it and I see something moving towards it, I got to keep working on it. I got to keep developing. I got to put things in front of me. This is why in this season, when a lot of people are trying to develop self-love, this is that reason why you're cutting off people that aren't edifying your spirit. This is why you're saying, I can't watch certain things. I can't watch Housewives of Atlanta and see their frustrated relationships and expect my relationship to work. Right? I can't listen to negative woe is me music and expect good positive love to come into my life. I can't listen to depression and expect hope. You got to sustain and affirm it. So you surround yourself with the affirmation and sustenance to keep the thing motivated and fulfilled. The only way something grows is to keep tending it. So if I want the positivity, I surround myself with positivity. It's only positive people in my life. It's only positive music I'm listening to. It's only positive things I'm putting in my life. The moment I hear gossip, I'm going the other way. Okay? So you tell me what you want in your life, and I'm going to ask who's in your life. Who are they? What do they talk about? What do they do? How do they handle situations? How do they handle frustration? Are they bitter? Are they complaining? Are they negative? Are they affirmational? Are they optimistic? Are they positive? Because those people are going to influence what you do. And how you move is going to dictate the mountains you move.
We're going to take a break. And when we come back, people have to ask questions because I'm curious. People have to ask questions. So we're going to take a break, and we will be back on the Dr. Ricky Show with your host, Dr. Ricky Rice. All right, we are back on the Dr. Ricky Rice Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ricky Rice, and I have with me none other than the love guru to the stars, Byron Jamal. So we're going to take a chance. we're going to let the audience ask questions.
Ooh.
Again, I don't know what's going to happen. I pray it all goes well. I'm just looking to First Lady and Pastor Harriet to be praying over in the corner. So we're going to switch it on off to my audience correspondent for her to introduce herself.
All right.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Marvelous Marissa. I'm a media personality and author, and I am this year's 2024-2025 spokesmodel for the United International Elite Pageant. Now, we have some great questions for the Mr. Love Guru himself.
Woo-hoo.
Let's go ahead and go to this beautiful lady right here.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, hey.
Where's my light? Am I on the camera?
We see your face.
Okay, so I got a question. I'm married, so it's not for me, but I heard that the dating pool got pee in it. So as the oldest girl of this family, I feel like it's my responsibility to get my siblings married off. So tell me, how can I be a great wing woman when I'm trying to bring them love? Give me some tips.
Absolutely. Number one, stay out their business.
Ah, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's number one.
And that's
number
not my
one.
sister. That's not my sister.
And I'm saying that in love. Stay out their business. And I think what happens is that we try to impose on others what worked for us. And that's why I tell people love is a person-centered model. It only works for you and you alone. So every time I work with a client, there's not some formula that I use for everybody. There's not a course that I could do this is how, even in these books, there are general steps to help you get there, but how you navigate is going to be unique to you. So, secondly, I want to challenge this is not for you. Because to be in any kind of relationship is a consistent work, and dating is a phase that you keep doing while you're in the deeper relationship. Understand? So you are then now a model for the people that you are trying to help get into relationship. Be the example in your own relationship, and it will allow them to see a model, an example that they can possibly learn from and get some glimmer of hope in. So hope is the first thing you want to give them, just from your example, not your words. You don't have to say anything or push them or motivate them. Simply live it out in front of them. And then secondly, keep working on your own so that yours doesn't become a negative story. So what I've seen too many times is that while people are trying to motivate other people to do other stuff with their life, what happens is they're tending someone else's stuff so much that there's a neglect that's happening in their own garden. So I say, stay focused on your garden. And people will notice when your garden blooms, right? They will notice when there's a harvest, and they will come looking, right? They'll come looking. You ain't gotta call them. You ain't gotta tell them to come look. When it's there and it's time to eat, they'll come and dine.
Yeah, that part. That part.
Sorry, that's how I coach.
All right, we have the beautiful Miss Danielle that has a question for the
Hey,
Mr.
Danielle.
Love Guru.
Hello.
Hey.
I've been married for 8 years, and so my husband and I, we are the proud parents of 4 children. And I will
Congratulations.
admit that we have not tended to our relationship or our connection. We're trying to figure out the very first step to building that up. So if you have any advice about how we can get on the same page to be able to move forward in this new chapter of our lives.
Ooh, thank you for your honesty, first of all. Y'all give it up for the honesty. So I mentioned earlier that the first thing that you have to do is acceptance, right? So you acknowledge a void. You have to acknowledge the darkness. You have to acknowledge what is lacking. And then you do inner work. So what we end up doing is we end up using our partner as something I need to fix. Instead of pulling up a mirror and saying, what am I doing differently? What am I doing differently that is causing my partner to react differently to me? Each of you do that, you suddenly find that it's more agreeable for you to be in a relationship. The challenge is you don't fix anybody. There's nobody you fix. You can't fix your child. Can we clarify this? You don't own them. You don't own people. Nobody's your property. And the problem that's the same in relationships is the same in childbearing and rearing, is that we think they're ours. They are unique individual beings, and they will express themselves how they desire. So however that man or woman wants to act, they will act. Your goal is to fix you. And if y'all are willing to do that at the same time, you'll find that having a relationship together is going to be easy. Can you imagine, think about that coworker that you didn't like, that you had like a little issue with, if they just went home and worked on themselves, you probably would get along a little bit better, right? So there's nothing about you that had to change. It's maybe they needed to go home and do some self-work. But at the same time, if you had to work with them and they wouldn't do the work, if you became more agreeable with them, no matter if they were unagreeable, wouldn't it make it easier for you? So relationships happen when we're willing to do the work, no matter if the other person's not. So that means then that you have to make the decision, I'm going to be in this regardless, right? So there can't be a if then. If you don't get this right, then we won't be together. There has to be a commitment that is in place that's a safety net for a relationship so that both people can work on at their own time and their own pace. Does that make sense? Yeah, because you may get it faster than him, and you may have a certain criteria of what success looks like for him to get it together, but his ability to move into that area of success may not happen on the timeline you set. And now there's disappointment because you set a timeline for him that he wasn't able to fulfill. So if you give the expectation and you say, this is what we're working towards, how can we make small steps? This is why all my books have like steps that you can measure, that you can see, that are tangible, that you can say, okay, we got a little bit better at acknowledging the BS, right? We got a little bit better acknowledging when our communication is not so great. So we can check that off. We got there. Now it's this other step that we need to be more affirmative with one another. We need to be more kind to each other. So now we'll work on that for a few weeks and see how that will come back to the table and see. So everything, you just step by step, you build it up.
Okay, you've said a lot. How did we get in touch with you?
I'm easy to find. I'm the Love Guru, but also just Byron Jamal everywhere. Here's the thing I just want to leave you with, and it's less about connecting with me, it's more about connecting with self. There is a love within you that always wants expression. There is a part of you that normally has layers of pain and shame and guilt that it kind of confounds you because somebody told you might not be beautiful enough, you're too dark, you're too light, you're too thick, you're too thin, your hair isn't this, it's not that, you're not tall enough, you're too short. And in all of that, we carry that whether we know it or not. And so acknowledging that and being able to call it out and say, these are the things that I know I carry that aren't so pleasant to carry. I call it out into the light. I call it out into the light. Who has something in here right now that they have, that they know, that they struggle with internally about themselves? Let me see your hand. Yes, see? So it's real, right? How beautiful would it be to, instead of having that thing as an object of shame, be a beautiful thing, to say, there's something that's so big inside of me that makes me feel small, and yet I'm still loved in the world. Despite that thing, there are people that still love me. There's a God that still loves me, yes, but there are people that still put up with me. There are people that still love me. There are people that still call me and check on me. There are people that hold me up when I don't even know I need to be held up. There are people that pray for me, even with that thing. I want you to hold on to that because what we need more is getting back to connecting with others, developing deeper, more meaningful relationships because the quality of our relationships determine the quality of our lives.
All right, true words have never been spoken. Thank you again to my very special guest, the Love Guru to the stars, Byron Jamal.
That'll be with you,
and
brother.
we'll catch you next time. Same place, same time on the Dr. Ricky Rice Show with your host, Dr. Ricky Rice.